Great.
This is an inquiry into the events surrounding and concerning the death of the man known as Jesus of Nazareth. We're going to hear from a number of witnesses, and we'll begin on that process now. The first witness is one of his disciples or followers called Peter. Peter, can you help us about how you came to follow Jesus of Nazareth?
Well, I saw him preaching, and I believe this was the person I wanted to follow. And
thank you. Were you with him when he entered Jerusalem about a week before he died, when he entered on a donkey?
Yes, I rode in with him.
And then I think there was a final meal which you all shared with him.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah, with all of his disciples.
And what did he say at that meal in particular about his disciples?
Well, he said that one of us was going to betray him, and he was going to die, and he said that he would then rise again.
And how did you all feel about that?
I couldn't quite believe what he was saying, that one of us would betray him and that he would rise again, but I still trusted him because this was the man that I'd followed, and so I still had trust in him.
And then I think you went to a garden where Jesus said he was going to pray and asked you all to stay awake with him. Did you stay awake?
No, I couldn't stay awake. I fell asleep.
And then tell us about his arrest.
Yeah, so Jesus was in the garden, and Judas came and kissed him, and then soldiers entered the garden and arrested him.
And then I think you followed to the chief priest's house where he was taken. And were you recognized there by a maid and challenged as to whether you knew Jesus?
Yes, there was a maid that said that she recognized me as one of his followers, but I denied this. I said that I did not know who he was. But this was something that Jesus had said to me before. He said that you will deny me 3 times, and then you'll hear a cock will crow. And that's what happened.
And how did you feel about the fact that you'd denied him, that you'd betrayed him?
It made me feel really terrible because I denied the man that I believed in.
And do you accept blame or responsibility for his death?
I didn't know what else I could have done, because when he said that he was going to die, I was scared. I didn't know what else to do.
Yes, thank you very much. Now, the next witness is the maid. Yes, I think you were the maid when at the chief priest's home when you saw the man who you knew was Peter. Is that right?
Yes.
And what did you see him do? Did you ask him about the fact that he was following Jesus?
Yes, so I had recognized him from seeing him with Jesus. So I asked him what he was doing, as Jesus had just been arrested. And he denied that he'd ever been with Jesus. So I challenged him and asked him 3 times, and he denied all those times.
And how did you feel about that? Did that make you feel angry or upset?
Yeah, I was angry because I knew he was lying to me because I'd seen him with Jesus before.
And did you also see the man, or over here, the man called Judas?
Yes, I saw him talking to the priests.
And could you hear what he was saying?
I think they were talking something about money, but I didn't hear very clearly.
Right. And what did you know about this man called Judas?
I knew he was devoted to Jesus, which surprised me why he was talking to the priests. Because
Yes, thank you very much. Now we have the chief priest, Caiaphas. Thank you for coming. I think you are prepared to make a statement to the tribunal, but you're not prepared to submit to questioning. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Well, if you'd like to make your statement now, please.
They brought Jesus to me. I tried to find evidence against him. How dare he think he was the Son of God? I charged him to prove it. I tore my clothes. I could not believe the blasphemy. Which of the prophets ever pointed to themselves? They all pointed to God. When he was brought to me, I asked the gathering what they thought, and they answered he was worthy of death. I agree.
Well, thank you very much. We now have the governor himself, Pontius Pilate. Can you help us, please, about what happened when they brought the man Jesus before you for trial?
Well, as soon as Jesus was brought before me, I knew for a fact he was an innocent man, and I just didn't want anything to do with this trial, and I knew I would feel guilty afterwards. So I had to let the crowd decide, hoping that they would take my side on this. But they just kept chanting, and they said, crucify him, and they wouldn't give a reason. I was really scared. So I had no choice but to get water there and then, wash my hands, and I had to say that I'm innocent of this man's blood.
Well, why did you allow the crowd to take over what was your responsibility?
I didn't want anything to do with it. Because he was innocent, I didn't want any of his blood on my hands. I even helped find a burial spot for him. I was scared throughout the whole process, so I let the crowd decide.
Do you feel responsibility or blame for his death?
Absolutely not. If anyone, it's Judas's fault. Judas was the one who betrayed Jesus, and also I handed over to the crowd. All responsibility is on them or on Judas. I'm out.
But I think, Governor, it's right that you were the only person with the power to order a crucifixion. Isn't that right?
I was, but I had to hand it over. I had to give responsibility to the crowd. I had to let democracy decide.
Yes, thank you very much. We're now going to hear from the second criminal, who I think is called John. Thank you very much for coming, John. Now, I understand that you were shouting abuse at Jesus. Is that right?
Yes, and also the other criminal and the Roman guards were doing the same as me.
And what did he say to you?
He muttered under his breath, "Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they are doing." I changed my opinion on him. I don't think he is a normal man. I think he is the real Son of God.
And did he say anything about what was going to happen then to him and to you?
I asked him if he could remember me when he goes up to heaven. He said back to me, "Today I'll be with him in paradise."
Thank you very much. Now we've got Judas. So Judas, can you please tell us, confirm that you were one of the followers of Jesus?
Yes, I was a follower of Jesus.
And were you a loyal follower of Jesus?
I would say I was a loyal follower of Jesus.
Did that change?
Yeah.
Did they come? How did you have contact with the chief priests?
Yes, I did. Well, I was in contact with the chief priests over Jesus. I agreed to hand over Jesus to the priests for 30 pieces of silver because I needed the money desperately. and I just hoping that Jesus would like call down his angels to save him, and then he would free his people. He would free us. That's what I was hoping, and I thought by handing him in, it would make that process happen quicker.
And why did you do that? Why did you decide to betray him?
Well, when I first met Jesus, I thought, this is the Messiah. This is the man who's going to free us. He's going to lead his people to freedom. But then I realized that I thought that Jesus was not that man. I mean, my people were still under the rule of the Romans. And just Jesus was talking about love and forgiveness, and nothing about having a glorious revolution and kicking out the Romans. But I thought he would say that. So I just felt that it was my duty to hand him over to the priests.
And you betrayed him by kissing him on the cheek so that you identified him to the soldiers. Is that right?
Yeah, yes, after I escaped the Last Supper, well, the Last Supper I had with Jesus, I went to the religious leaders and I told them where to find Jesus. So I led a group of soldiers to find Jesus. And yes, indeed, in the garden, I kissed Jesus on the cheek to let the soldiers know that this was the man. This was the man to take.
And he was arrested.
Yes, he was.
What did you do with the money?
Well, as soon as I saw that Jesus was not going to call down angels from heaven to save him, and that he was actually going to be crucified, I realized that this money I had, it was blood money. It was money that was full of sin and hate. So I had to give it back to the religious leaders, saying, I don't want this. I threw it at them. I threw it at their feet because I didn't want to hold on to it anymore. And I couldn't take it.
And of course, after his arrest, he was brought to trial and crucified. So you must bear a heavy responsibility for his death.
Yeah, I've come to realize now, after these days of reflection, that I've made a huge mistake. I shouldn't have betrayed Jesus. He was one of my best friends, and I handed him over to the very men that I hated. I handed him over to the Romans.
And you're going to have to live with this for the rest of your life, aren't you?
I don't think I can. I really don't think I can live with this pain.
Yes, thank you very much. Now we have finally Mary, Mother of Jesus. Thank you very much for coming. We realize how incredibly difficult this is for you to be here and to talk about this. But can you tell us about your son and his loss and how you feel about his loss?
I can only say one thing. A sword has pierced my heart. I can't say anything further.
Yes,
Sorry.
thank you very much. We've now heard all the evidence, and it is for you to decide what is the truth. Was Jesus the Son of God? Did he rise again from the dead? But before that, did he go down to hell? Was his purpose in going down to hell to redeem those in hell, including Judas? Well, those are the questions that you need to ask and answer and reflect upon. Thank you very much.